You have found Advancing with Amy, Mental Health Warrior. And I'm Amy. We discuss everything from mental health to neurodiversity and everything in between. Let's get started. We've got Laura Ordeal here with me today. Laura is a mindset mentor. She's a master hypnotist and NLP practitioner, specializing in trauma treatment. Laura, can you tell me a little bit about you personally?
About me personally, I am a mother and grandmother. I have 2 children and 3 grandchildren, ranging from almost 2 years to almost 18 years. So I live in Montana and it's incredibly cold right here right now. And I love the summers here. It's amazing. Spring and summer is like my time of year. I love it. It's warm enough to go swimming, but it doesn't get hot. I grew up in the desert, and if it's 100 degrees, everybody here might pass out.
I looked at your website and I've been watching some of your videos that you post on your social media. Tell us all a little bit about what you do.
What I do, I help people move through change in their life, and that can be in a couple different areas, a couple different ways. I tend to end up working with 2 different groups, actually, and I either help you move up into the next level of where you want to be and break through what feels like maybe an invisible wall or that invisible ceiling that we so often talk about, really get your way into the success and happiness that you want. And I also work with people who are at a point of they're lost, or they feel like they're too broken to be fixed or healed. And I help those people to realize that's not true, that you don't have to live with it. You don't have to manage it. There is a way to clear things. And so I work with those 2 people. I do that mostly through hypnosis, NLP, working with the subconscious. I love working with the subconscious. It's like magic to me. And so I have fun with that. I'm also a professional astrologer and intuitive. And when you work in some of my longer coaching situations, we definitely dive in and use some of those skills as well.
That's great. I like the woo. So that's fun.
I love woo. It's fun.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about NLP. I actually just got trained in that as a NLP practitioner. I'm working on my certificate now. So I'd love to hear how you incorporate that.
NLP is amazing, and it's usually a large part of hypnosis. NLP is working with the subconscious almost through a conversation, through the words that you're using, and helping to reestablish a new way of doing something, a new way of going forward in your life.
Right.
And that's magical. It's so fun. Hypnosis often goes a little bit deeper, and sometimes you're not in the aware state that you tend to be with NLP. So that's a little bit of kind of the difference in that. But I think that sometimes it's super fun when you're working with NLP, some of the stuff that you do, say you're working with a phobia and it's through flying or something like that. All of a sudden you end up with this fear of flying in your life. And through NLP, what's magical about it is you go in with that person and you don't take away the experiences. Neither does hypnosis. I'll say that, but it takes away the emotional anchor that is attached to that difficult experience, because somewhere along the line, something tripped and your subconscious said, oh my goodness, we can't do that. We got to keep her safe. We have to do this. So now we're going to instigate this fear, and this fear ignites inside of you. And so we go in and we reset that way of being. We readjust the programming on it through NLP, through hypnosis, and change that. So then when you go to get on the plane and you're doing something, you might have the normal stuff that somebody has where it's like, ooh, we're taking off. That's a little, and the landing, I think we all have those moments of that.
Right. But the weight is lifted.
Yeah. You don't have that fear, that crippling panic, or you can't breathe or anything like that. It clears that emotional attachment, that reaction to it without taking away. The memory's still there, and that's okay, but you don't connect the fear to it that moment. Oh my goodness. Oh, whether that's with spiders, bananas, buttons, people have all kinds of fear. There's not one that's too weird that's out there. And so that, to me, that's NLP. It's going in and redirecting some of what we have there, changing the anchors in our life. And then we can actually anchor in something good instead of that
Yeah.
difficult emotion.
That's great. Can you talk with us a little bit about what exactly an anchor is?
An anchor is that attachment to something. It is a subconscious reminder is what an anchor is. And it lets your subconscious know, ooh, that's right. We need to be feeling this or that or doing this or that. I actually have a wonderful, fun way that I access the subconscious with color because it's an amazing, wonderful anchor that we can use. If you're really wanting to tap into a little bit of change, you can use color. You want clarity in your life. You really need some clarity around what's going on in your life.
Mhm.
You can choose to use an anchor of white, and that can be a shirt. That can be a tablecloth. I love using flowers. I think flowers are
Oh,
super fun anchors. It can be a piece of paper. I've used a white piece of paper as an anchor before.
okay.
But what you do is you go in and you use that little moment of intention. I actually have it all set up on a little freebie that people are absolutely able to go get.
I got a secret. I tried it. It
Yeah.
was wonderful. I chose the color purple and I did the little, was it a meditation that you had with
Yeah.
it? It was wonderful. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. And it
Yeah.
was
And it's
brief,
so,
so it was something anybody can do with very little time on their hands.
yes, it's literally 2 minutes, I think the
Hmm.
activation meditation is. And so basically what you're doing is you're telling your subconscious at that point and universal energy and all that's out there, hey, this is what I need right now. This is what I want. I need to move into this energy. And so by doing that, you're telling the subconscious and the universe, I believe they're connected, that this is what I want. And so then when you bring the anchor in, say it's flowers or whatever, you have it sitting in your area. And every time you go by that, every time you see that color, your subconscious is remembering and saying, oh, that's right. They're looking for that. And then they start to work with that universal energy and bring those things into your life. And then
Yeah,
maybe you're having a moment. I remember a story about a woman once who thought that would be way too simple. Oh no, that's it. And this is not my story. It's from my
right.
mentor actually, but they said, oh no, that's too easy. No, just do this. And they did it. And it was like, okay. And then all of a sudden she had to run in somewhere and she was doing something and she had to go in and pick up some office supplies or something. And she's standing in the middle of the store, like this aisle of white paper, and has this big aha moment of, oh, that's what I need to do. And it's just like that. We have
Yeah.
those amazing things that go on. That's an anchor. When you have something that's reminding you consciously or subconsciously, doesn't matter.
Hmm.
You might not even think about the 14 times you've walked by those white flowers or that white piece of
Right.
paper sitting on the table, but your subconscious recognized it and it went to work for you. And that's the beauty of the subconscious. It goes out there and does
Mhm.
things all the time. It's our bus driver. It's the one leading the way, operating our body every day. It's operating our mind, our thoughts, everything. Why
Yeah.
not use that to our advantage?
Yeah, I love anchors. And I think it's amazing how when your subconscious knows that you want something, let's say you wanted a yellow VW bug to drive, you suddenly see them everywhere. They just come to you.
Oh,
The
yeah.
same with negativity, unfortunately, but if you make that positive, you can bring those things in your life.
I learned something about that a long time ago and I've really put it into play. And I like to remind people because I was struggling with seeing what I wanted, but other people having it. And it was right there in front of me
Yeah.
with some of my closest friends. Why is that happening? And what's going on with me? And then I figured out I don't know if you've ever read the Optimist Creed. It's amazing.
Mm-mm.
You can Google it and find it. It talks about celebrating or something to the effect of the joy of other people having things and
Mm-hmm.
before. And I was like, ugh. But all of a sudden I realized, oh, okay, I get what that's about now. That is a reminder for us, a visual, actual in our space reminder that we are being heard and look. The universe is putting it into action. Acknowledge it, be happy about it, be excited because you're being shown. And it is, especially if it's someone close to you, look how close it is right there.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful reminder of that. And I use that even with people who are looking for that person in their life. And they're like, oh, start noticing. First of all, absolutely in law of attraction, make your list of the things that you want. Someone and think about that and have that. I don't care if you go file it in your sock drawer. That's fine. But then start noticing the people that come into your realm, into your life. Start noticing the people that maybe you're dating even. Okay, maybe it's not that person, but what attributes of that person were on your list? Was it their physical appearance? Was it something about the emotional way that they were, or the morals that they had? What was it? Because there's your reminder that your person is on the way. You can get specific about what you want. It is magic.
So let me ask you, since we are a show about mental health and neurodiversity, do you have any mental health issues, or do you know anybody with those, or do you work with anybody with mental health issues?
Yes.
All right.
Mine is more situational in the things that I've dealt with: anxiety on and off throughout life, with depression. And I realized, I figured out, because I didn't know and you don't know until you know what was going on. And I finally figured out, oh, okay, all right, I think I'm depressed. And what's that about? Is that, oh no, now I'm like in this depressive person? And I figured out it was situational, what was going on. But I do know people, and I work with intense situations for people. I tend to specialize with some trauma, PTSD, CPTSD. And so that is really brings on some of the mental health issues. But not only that, oftentimes it comes along with physical stuff, with all of the emotions behind all of that. And I really moved into some of the work that I do now because I'm from a military family, and I have some family members scattered throughout that have dealt with PTSD. And PTSD is quite a catch-all, as is the word trauma. So whatever the label is, ADHD, ADD, all the different alphabet soups that are out there that labels have been stuck on is fine. I don't care about the labels. I care about what's going on for you that you need to adjust or change or move in a new direction with. And I was dealing with a client not too long ago, and she came to me and she said, is this stuff that will work for my PTSD, for these other things that I have going on? And I said, yes. And so we started working together. And then 6 weeks later, she had cleared 17 different things going on in her.
Oh my, that's fast.
It's incredible. It's incredible. Yeah. It's amazing. And these are not things that are like, oh, I have this little issue. It was hypervigilance, sleep issues. She was dealing with IBS. She was dealing with repetitive thoughts and sometimes going into bad places and depression and all of these different things. I was like, oh my goodness. Okay, let's go. And for someone like that who really is struggling with focus and with trying to move forward in some way when you're dealing with all of this stuff going on in your life, it can be overwhelming. And then when you go to someone and they say, let's deal with one issue at a time.
Oh, yeah.
It can take forever. It's, oh my goodness. And what I do with the work that I do is I go in and it's like going in and digging out that sliver that's really deep down. Yeah. And you pull out that sliver, that root cause of what's happened, and then the symptoms go away, the issues go away, and you find this new way of being in the world.
You can be yourself again.
Yeah, and maybe even a self you never even met. Maybe it's something that's been there for so long. That's just, I've always had anxiety, or I've always had depression, or I've always had this. You've never experienced life without it. Now you move into this whole new way of being in the world. It's like taking this fresh breath and wow, oh my goodness.
So let me ask you this, because you were talking earlier and it made me think. You were talking about having a situational depression and how you woke up and went, something's not right. Is this depression or is it not? So what kind of little things lead, like for our listeners, what would lead them to say, maybe I need to seek some help? What's that line?
I think we have that that all the time. The thing is, we don't listen. We have that thought, that fleeting thought of, maybe I need a little help with that. And then the other part comes in and says, nope, nope, we're not going to do that. I can get through this. I don't need help. I don't want to go to another person. All of that. Or I've already tried and it didn't help. So what's the use? And that first little thought, maybe I should. Maybe this is the one. Maybe always move into the hope of something. Don't let someone tell you something's not possible. We live in an incredible world where things are becoming more and more possible all the time. Yes. It's not always dependent on having a conversation for the next 4 years. And trying to dig up all the different dirt. When I talk about going deep into something and digging out the root, I'm not talking about having a conversation about it. Of course, I'll have a conversation with you about anything you want to talk about, but I don't need you to tell me all of the different things that have gone on in your life in order for me to get to that root.
Well, I don't have to dig up all the trauma and rehash it all.
Oh, no. I do not want to re-traumatize anyone. And it's not necessary in order for me, because everything that's happened, absolutely, it's all banked in that wonderful thing in your mind and in the subconscious. Subconscious is like the biggest hard drive you can imagine. But so it's got files inside files, ones that you probably don't even remember. And oftentimes what happens is something goes back to a place where you were 2 or 3 years old and there was this trauma that happened. And so your mind, basically your subconscious, is always trying to keep you safe. So it creates this little version of you that comes front and center with the armor on that says, I've got you. I've got you. I'm going to take care of this for you. Then you slip out of that little version of yourself and you move forward. But that version is still back there. Sometimes stuck in that repetitive mode of dealing with that situation, still in it. And then you come forward and you have this other version of yourself that, oh my gosh, you're 10 years old, you're getting bullied. It's created to, again, take care of you in that time. And then you move forward. But that little version is stuck right there. And at some point in life, we all need to either clear or reintegrate those parts of ourselves to be able to move forward in a way. And we never know what it is that's going to possibly hold us back, cause the issues, trigger something in that moment. But whatever it is. And it might be that, oh my gosh, I'm doing all the things, but I'm stuck. What the heck is happening? Why can't I make progress? Or you have that all of a sudden, and I hear this all too often, especially with people who have PTSD, all of a sudden something happened. They're fine. And especially people on the outside are like, they were fine. I don't get it. And now all of a sudden something's happened and they're angry, or they won't come out of their room, or they can't function in society, or something like that happens. And it's this think of that little preteen or teenager. All of a sudden they're pissed. They're mad. They're angry. They're still left behind and they want attention, and they're in control because they're in the subconscious. So they can bring on the physical things, the anxiety, the IBS, the fibromyalgia, the chronic fatigue, all of that all of a sudden comes out of nowhere. Didn't come out of nowhere. There's something that is there that needs to be dealt with. When you think about a little puppy, most people have had puppies in their lives, and they want attention, and they want attention, they want attention. If you're ignoring them, they're going to go chew up your shoes, pee on your rug, do all the things you don't want them to do. You have to give them attention. You have to, and then you have this companion for life that is amazing. And you move forward in happiness and joy, and it's wonderful. And that's what happens in the subconscious mind with these parts of ourselves that need to be reintegrated and brought forward and given attention. And then we can clear that situation. Because when you're 2 years old, 3 years old, something that happens at that point, when it traumatizes that little version of us, we might think now, what? That's crazy. That couldn't have happened. It was just an argument that somebody had. But to that little version of you, very traumatic. And so it's pretty amazing. We do need to tend to ourselves as well.
Oh, I agree. And I want to go back to, you were talking about seeking attention like puppies seek attention. I think seeking attention has gotten such a bad rap. So many people feel like if they are calling their friend too often or reaching out for help that it says they're weak. When honestly, I think it's the exact opposite. I think you have to be a strong person to reach out and say, I need a little help right now. And that's okay.
Absolutely. I think that's one of the most courageous things you can ever do for yourself is to say, I need help and to step into it fully, not just say it and say it. Do something about it. Step in, find the person that can help you. And if you found someone who is, I don't think this is the right thing, don't be afraid to search for something else. Unfortunately, I happen to often be the last ditch effort of people. Yeah. And I wish I was the first. I wish that hypnosis and going in and using the amazing part of ourselves that is our mind and the neuroscience behind it all, doing that first so that you have this clear slate to go forward. And then you need to add in something, or if you need to do this, or if you need to do, that's great. That's great. Do it. But start at the place that is the most important. Start where you're going to make a true difference. Go into the hard drive and clear the stuff that those lines of code that are causing you issues, and add in the things that are going to supercharge the way forward for you. Because what we do is not just adding or taking away the things that we no longer need. It's adding in motivation, adding in confidence, adding in flexibility and all the things that we need to.
And you have a program that helps with this, don't you?
I do. I have a couple programs that I right now focus in. Again, there's those two sides I talked about at the beginning of the people that I work with. I have the Highlands Hypnosis Trauma Program, which is that base program. It's the overhaul. It's the reset. It's let's go in, take care of this, whatever you're dealing with. 17 issues, the laundry list. Let's clean out the laundry and get rid of all the things and add in the things that you want. And then the second program is my personalized success program. And that encompasses that first program, but then it takes it out and extends it into really boosting, really supercharging and focusing in on the path that you want to be on for the success that you want to have, getting to that next level of where you want to be. Resetting, because you've now reset your 0 point. What's it going to look like moving forward from there instead of from where you were? Taking the next steps, gaining momentum and crossing the finish line with success and happiness that you want, and then moving into the next adventure. How fun is that?
That's really fun. And that's great because it sounds so individualized. Like somebody could come with you. Somebody might be wanting to work on moving up in their company, or somebody might be frustrated with their children, or you just don't know. There's so many different things that you could help with that.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's why I call it personalized, because it is. It's about you. And people go, well, what do you do? And it depends on the person.
So what got you into that? Into the NLP and the coaching? And
I dove into some of the other stuff, the intuition and the astrology and all that years ago, and have continued to pull that in and work with that. And then you're probably going to laugh. A lot of people do, but
that's okay.
I decided I needed something a little more practical. And so for me, that was diving into hypnosis. And so that was my practical side. And with the knowledge of really wanting to work with some of the people through the trauma side, through the PTSD, and doing that, and realizing I went into a specialized program not long ago for that. And it was like this, you have those aha moments, those light bulb moments, but realizing that so many of us get stopped in our business, in our life, in all of these things, because we have some version of quote unquote trauma. We have that thorn stuck down in there somewhere that we just need to pull out. And through that, oh my goodness, all these other things happen. It's crazy magical where you watch people all of a sudden start succeeding in their business. And that's how I started working with those people was, okay, we'll start here. We'll go from there, and you'll see all of that magic that happens. Things that happen in their body. People who have struggled with fertility get pregnant. There's this amazing story of my mentor actually worked with someone who stuttered all of his life. They went through this program, they worked with it, and through the course of one of the sessions, he figured out that at one point when he was literally just walking, so tiny, and having a birthday party in the house, and he was so excited and running around, and he ran into the kitchen after a toy and tripped, and he grabbed onto the tablecloth. When he went down, tablecloth came, the cake came off the table, and it was like, oh no. And the mom was like, oh no, what's going on? And upset and everything. And the baby, who couldn't even talk at the time, was like, oh, it was an accident. I didn't mean to. From that point, because he couldn't get the words out, he asked his mom, did I always stutter? Yeah, you always stutter. And so through this little traumatic experience, it stuttered through his life. And in this particular session, when he came up and they were talking about this, it took them both about 5 minutes to figure out he was no longer stuttering. It was gone. It was gone.
That quick. Speaking of time, you were mentioning 6 weeks is how long you worked with that one person with a laundry list of things they wanted to work on. What is the average amount of time for working with somebody?
My sessions are set up for 7 sessions, just so we have extra time to do whatever. Honestly, the average is anywhere from 4 to 6. It can be in as little as 2. I know this wasn't me. Someone else that does this work as well had someone that was like, at the second session, I'm good. Okay. And they just came up out of the session with, it's different now. And that's what's so fun to see happen is like all of a sudden, you'll know, and they're like, oh, it's different now. It's like this. Yeah. It's like something switched. They flipped the switch. And so everything's just changed now.
Would you talk to me a little bit about the astrology? I'm curious what you do with that.
Oh, I think astrology, and I use that. That's one of the things I do with people when they come work with me in that personalized program is we normally do an astrology reading to begin everything off because I want to show them how amazing they are and that a lot of times they've gone through life being told something that is, oh, that's not good. That's not good. That's when actually it's a really big part of who they are. And they're meant to bring that part of themselves into the world and to show them that even the difficulties where they might go back and forth with something is I have this side of me that pulls this way, but then I really go this way and they clash. How to work with that, how to bring that together for the best way possible. Because we have elements in our charts and we work in the elements every day, fire, earth, air, water. The fire is the energy of being and moving in the world and creating and doing and being seen. And air is the ideas, the communication of it all, chatting away and having all those wonderful things come to mind. And earth is that manifestation and the grounding and really getting into the work and doing what we need to do. Money. That's money. Water is our emotional world and the magical, mystical way of being in this world that we're in. And oftentimes you think about the little fire babies that come into the world, they've got a lot going on. They're energetic. They're out there and they're told, calm down. You're too much. And they're shut down often for a very long time in life. They come to me and we talk. Don't let yourself be shut down. You leave the trail for the rest of us. You light the way. You bring us. You're the pioneer, the warrior, and you stand for us and show us. You let us light our energy off of yours.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah, I love that. Do you have astrology information on your website?
Yeah, I think one of the freebies actually is working through your progressed moon and navigating your progressed moon. And it talks about the natal moon and the progressed moon. And when it's moving through something, the progressed moon is so amazing. It's a gift that we're given. We all come into this world in an emotional way of being, however we are. And that's perfect. That's how we're meant to be. What the progressed moon does is we move through a particular sign for about 29 months. And so we get to go through and experience what it's like at the emotional level for someone else in the world. Say you come in with a Gemini moon, you're going to know that you want to talk about your feelings. Might not necessarily take time to feel them, but you're going to talk about all the things. And then you come in and you move through and you're up chatty, and then you move through a fire moon. Or maybe you move through a Leo moon. What you're going to experience at that point is being seen, having fun, having the romance, being out in there and wanting to maybe be and look very beautiful, having a new way of being seen. And it's experiencing that energy at heart. It's really beautiful. It might be when you really feel romantic in your relationships, or you might be experiencing, and this is a really good one, can be difficult. You might experience a progressed moon in Scorpio. And Scorpio gets bad rap. Scorpio is crazy amazing. I'm going to tell you about something magical about Scorpios then, because Scorpios are told, oh, they're cold or they're intense or these things. But what it is if you think about those pictures of the underwater world, where underwater is really clear and beautiful, you can see up above and you can see below as well. Most of us are up above looking down going, ooh, it's murky. I don't know. It's a little scary. It goes down really deep. And the Scorpios, along with other water signs, but especially Scorpios, they see that underwater version of the world, of life. They go down deep and look at it and go, oh my gosh, look how beautiful this is. Yeah. And they often try to show the rest of us what happens. Like sometimes when you think about scuba diving or snorkeling, the Scorpio goes diving down and it's like, woof. And the rest of us are like going, wait a minute. I need to adjust. You're taking me too deep. And so if you just give other people time, they'll start to see the magic of it. But if you know a Scorpio, go talk to them, because they will go into that flow that's underneath life, that goes into all of the weird, wild, amazing things. They don't want to just talk about the surface stuff. Yeah. They find all the stuff. And they do it because they can see all those things. They can see at the deep level of life, of death, of all the magic in between. And so if you're going through a Scorpio moon, progressed moon time, you're going to learn to see those types of things. And I often tell people, make sure you have an anchor. I say an anchor, someone who is there for you if you're not used to that energy, that will pull you up. Because Scorpios experience, let me explain the emotional balance, or how Scorpios experience the world. Think about being at the beach and you see the waves coming in and they're wild and interesting, and you go play in the waves and it's, they tumble you around and you come up gasping and it's like, oh my goodness. Then you start to learn a little bit, if you're there enough, you can dive under the wave. It's still moving you around. It's still tossing you around, or you can ride the wave in. That's where a Scorpio lives. That's the emotional balance that they have going on for them. So they have to learn to navigate that, because that's where they are all the time. Yeah. So if you see them at a place where they're like this, it's because they don't want to throw that wave back. Like they're navigating at their own level, going inside of themselves, going, okay, I'm on an even keel. I'm okay. And some people are like, what's going on? The rest of us are going over on the lazy river, floating along, having a good time. There might be some rapids every now and then, but for the most part. And so think about that and the difference of how you view someone. This person, there's so much going on inside of them. But if they really opened up to you, you have to be ready for that, because it's a lot. And the people that do get close to Scorpios realize that, and they're able to tap into it in a way that they're in there for the ride. Some people are going through that in the progressed moon. They're being asked to go deep. Go feel all that emotion. Go see all the things. Dig into near-death experiences. Dig into the weird and the interesting. Go deep into life. And you have all these things going on around you during that time where it is a big transformation in life, outwardly and inwardly. So have a connection, have a coach, have a therapist, have a person that you can talk to that will pull you up out of to take a breath now and then. Go deep, but come up for the breath. Go deep. It doesn't have to be your sun sign. It could be any planet that you have connection to that is your chart. I often say, your sun sign, that's great. But that's like making a cake and going, I have the flour. Okay, it's wonderful. But you have to know the rest of the ingredients, what kind of cake you're going to come up and out with, and the flavors of it. And that's what doing an astrological chart reading, that's what I do.
I love talking to you. I could talk to you all day, and I love all your metaphors and imagery. They're just great. You tell a good story. How can people find you?
Oh, they can find me all over the place, just with my name. And it looks like Ordile, Laura Ordile. It's LauraOrdile. It's pronounced Laura Ordeal. But that's my website that you can go find. I'm on Facebook that way. I'm on Instagram and TikTok under Laura Ordeal. I also have a podcast called The Change Gang, which is super fun. And right now I have 2 episodes a week coming out because I talk about some of the woo stuff. And then I started a few months ago really digging into the trauma side of things and talking with different people who work with that and the different ways. And so that comes out, the woo and practical side of things comes out on Monday, and then the trauma series comes out on Thursday. So that's called the Change Gang podcast. I also have a group on Facebook called the Change Gang that you're welcome to come join me in.
Yeah, definitely. I think I've already signed up. Before we go today, is there anything you'd like to leave our listeners with? Something, a tidbit of something you just want everybody to remember?
I want you to remember that change is always happening and that you are the navigator and the director of that change. And it is absolutely possible for you to be okay and good, regardless of what's going on around you. So know that and know that it is absolutely possible. It is possible to do and be and have the things that you want.
Love that. Thank you so much, Laura. I really appreciate you coming and talking with us today.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me, Amy. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Thanks, everybody. That was Advancing with Amy, and we will see you next week. And that wraps up another episode of Advancing with Amy, Mental Health Warrior. Thank you so much for joining us today and for being a part of our mindful community. I hope you found this episode insightful, thought-provoking, and re-energizing. Remember, your mental health is a journey, and each step you take towards self-care and self-awareness is significant. If you found value in today's episode, I encourage you to subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode. And if you feel inspired, please leave us a review and share the podcast with others who may benefit from our discussions. If you have any suggestions for future topics, questions, or would like to be featured on the show, please reach out to us through our website or social media channels or email me at amy@advancingwithamy.com. We value your feedback and are dedicated to creating content that resonates with you. Always remember that you're not alone in your struggles. Reach out to your support network, seek professional help if needed, and practice self-compassion. Remember to prioritize your mental well-being, honor your emotions, and take small steps each day toward your healing and growth. Thank you for choosing Advancing with Amy, Mental Health Warrior, as your companions on this empowering journey. We'll be back next week with another episode filled with valuable insights and uplifting stories. Until then, take care of yourself and stay mindful, because you are worthy of a life filled with joy, peace, and fulfillment. Bye-bye now.